Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another tutorial video on my channel. As requested for a while, I'll show you guys how I set up the A320 from a cold and dark state like I do on my live streams in a short and simple way so you all could hopefully understand. Alright, so right now we're responding at London Gatwick and everything is all good from the outside, so without any more time wasting we can jump straight into the aircraft and get set up with everything else. So welcome to the cockpit of this EasyJet A320. Right now you can see all the screens and everything off, all the buttons are off as well, except for this one button here, which is the external power. So this is usually the first thing you want to turn on, or you can turn on the batteries as well, it doesn't really matter. But it's good to have external power on. In order to get external power, you want to go to the menu here for the ATC. Right now the aircraft's off, but usually you can, where you'll be able to request for the ground frequency, and through that then you can call ground services such as the ground power. So this vehicle here has an electrical generator with a cable attached obviously to it that connects it to the aircraft, providing all the power it needs even when the engines or the APU isn't running. So to start things off, you guys want to head up to the top here and you want to turn on the external power. You'll hear everything will come alive, all the screens will be green, and a lot of loud noise. Alright, so after all that's done, you can turn on batteries 1 and 2. And usually what I like to do is align the IRSs straight off the get-go. So without wasting any time during the flights, because the IRSs do take a while, so 7 minutes. So whilst doing that, then you can set up your flight plan and everything else. So you want to do crew supply, which is down here, so this button right there. So it'll be white, so you just want to press that in. The aim for Airbus is basically to have all lights off, but you don't want to keep spamming random ones just in case. So now you want to turn on all the fuel pumps, so get all of these ones here, nothing else. And what I would do, because the aircraft is now powered, you'll turn the nav and logo lights on. I would also arm the emergency exit lights, so those are the lights within the cabin on the floor. So say if there is no light obviously being emitted through emergency landing, then those lights would come on. Then turn on the no smoking and the seatbelt signs, and pretty much we're all good here. But the one thing I would love to do as well is start the APU. So by starting the APU, press the master switch, and then you go and press the start switch. So while doing that, there is technically a third engine on the aircraft at the rear end, for where that engine will start to spool up and produce its own power, so like a generator for the aircraft. So that will start to come alive, and as you see, once you usually turn that on, then this screen will show the APU and you'll see the flaps open. So when the flaps open, everything will start to spool up. You can see the percentage here will start to increase, and then once the power is being generated through the APU, you then turn on the APU bleed. But the APU bleed would be turned on once there would be a green light showing saying it's available. Also what I like to do is turn up with flight directors, and then I would then head over to the FMC. This is where you put your flight planning in and do all sorts. So first I want to go to the init page and then do the departure and arrival ICAO codes for the airports. So right now we're at Gatwick, so Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, and I want to fly to, let's go for Dublin, so Echo India Delta Whiskey, or EIDW. So we're going to put that in from to 2, and I'm going to press the return, and then it should show up here. You could choose to put your flight number in just if you want to remind yourself, so I'll just do easy 118, put that in right there. And the cost index is what you'll get on your flight plans. If you use something like SimBrief, then at the top of the briefing there'll be something that'll say CI, so that'll just be short for cost index, so then you'll put the cost index here. But right now mine is 24. And obviously here you just put your cruising altitude, so for me I'll be cruising at 32,000 feet. Once you do that, then don't worry about the /temp, because it'll put in the temperature automatically. Then what I will do is go to IRS init, align on ref, and then confirm alignment by pressing this button again. Once you've done that, then the IRSs which you have started on at the top here, that you switch to nav, will then come all the way down and go to the aircraft's last position location. So once I've done that, then I'll go to flight plan, and I will now put in the departure, and so on. So right now, guys, we're on the departures page where it's going to show all the runways at the airport you're at. So right now there is 4 runways at London Gatwick, but there's only 1 in use. So 08 right and 26 left. So what you want to do, our departure for today is runway 26 left. So you want to put that in. And for a star, so basically a star is just a bunch of waypoints basically in a set departure path, I say from it. I guess that's the best I could say. But yeah, so for our departure, we're taking the Novum 1 X-ray departure. So if you scroll down here, there we go, the Novum 1 X-ray. So we want to press on that. Sometimes you will get transition waypoints, so usually a waypoint after the city you've taken. So once you've chosen the one that is after, then all you have to do is press insert here, and then it'll show up. So as you can see, if you press V, just to be a bit cheeky before the irises have aligned, you can then look on the map and see the star and the waypoints you have done so far. So see, it goes all the way to Novum, and then straight on after that we'll go direct to Dublin, but obviously we don't have any other waypoints. But when we put in the other waypoints, then you'll see the flight path kind of take form. So to plan the rest of the flight plan, what you want to do is go on the latest waypoint, so the last waypoint of your departure. You're going to press Airways, and then you want to put in the rest of the flight. So something that I can make you guys remember by is that Airways always have numbers in them. Unless they're coordinates, Airways always have numbers. But waypoints are always like full words. So for our flight, we got SAM as a waypoint, and then the first airway we're taking is L620. So that would be on the left because it obviously has numbers in it. That's the best way I can remember it, to be honest, guys. So the first one is Lima 620. We're going to put that in here, and then it's going to show up, but then obviously then it will show other boxes you can plan in. So our first waypoint is SAM, and then after SAM it is N19. Then we're going to go to AdKick, Alpha Delta Kilo India Kilo, then M17, and then STU, and then Quebec, which is right here, 63, that's an airway, and then Vatry, which is our final waypoint for our arrival. So once I've put in all these waypoints, the final one that you usually get would be the SIDS for the arrival. So for the arrival into Dublin, we're taking the Vater 1 Lima arrival for runways 28. So as Vatry is the last waypoint, what you do is press insert. And once you've inserted that and you can scroll down using the up arrow, you can see all these waypoints would appear on the FMC. So if you press V now, you can see how the flight plan is now taking its shape. So straight after, where we did our SID for departure, which is Novma, it's going to come all the way down here along the south coast of the UK and then go straight up here. So that's all the waypoints. So as you guys do notice that not every single waypoint here is what we've put in, but it's from the airways. So the airways is like a highway basically in the skies. So that's how usually these waypoints appear, because these waypoints are part of that highway. So once we've done that, we can go for the arrival. So by pressing the white part, so where it says destination and your airport code, you want to press this button and go to arrival. So you just want to look for the runway you're landing on. So runways 28 is what we're landing in at Dublin, and we're going to be taking, as I said earlier, the Vatry 1 Lima arrival. Usually it's in alphabetical order, so it's going to be at the bottom. And I should find it. Sometimes it might not say 1, it will say 2. So usually it will still be the same thing, I believe. No SIDS, so that's fine. So you see no vias or anything, and no transition. So you just want to press insert, and then that would mean the destination, so the approach would be selected in. So you can see now we've got this curved part here, and then we'll head straight into Dublin from runway 28 left. So that's how you plan the flight, guys. If you guys want to know how to fly to direct waypoints and so on, I will do that in the next tutorial once we've departed and so on. So after we've done that, you guys can obviously check your performance, make sure that you have all the right amount of fuel. So for this flight, we're going to be carrying 30.5. So to check that, usually it's 13,500, and I'll just adjust this to the number, but sometimes I like to go over because the flight plan might not be right, or if there's a lot of traffic in the airport, then you might be burning a lot of fuel and wasting it. Payload doesn't really matter, but you just want to make sure that this is right here, is in the center, so it's not so so the aircraft is balanced and so on, so the center lift and so on. So once you've done that, then you want to head over to performance. So this is where you get your V speeds for takeoff, so you know what speeds to rotate and what speeds where you have to take off no matter what. So after this, what you guys want to do is make sure you have the transition level. So in terms of this airport, on the ATIS, our transition level is 6,000 feet. And for flaps, you can just put 1, it doesn't really matter, but usually I do add a little bit of trim to it. So you could do 1/up and then 0.1, 2 or 3, but I usually just do 1. Put that in there. Flex temp, I usually just put to 45. To be honest, guys, I'm not really sure. I know it doesn't sound professional, but your boy started off still. So usually I set it to 45, but I'm pretty sure there are calculators on how to get flex temperatures on Google. After that, you want to get the V1, so just by clicking on this part and putting it in, you can just clear this and then put in the V2 speed. The numbers will be different, they won't usually be the same, but sometimes you might get some circumstances where they are the same, and it's a V3. So usually you put the V2 speed 131 on the speed dial here, but usually I just leave it pushed in. So when these knobs are pushed in, there will be a dot. So the dots basically mean the aircraft's in control of doing that specific function. If you pull it out, and then that means you can change it to whatever speed, and the aircraft will follow that speed through the autopilot. Just want to leave that in for now. Q and H is the barometric pressure, so like the atmosphere. So this will like help the aircraft understand the correct altitude for whatever terrain level the airfield or wherever you're flying is at. And yes, so once you got all of that done, then you're pretty much good. This is what I usually do. So I have my performance and everything all set up. My flight plan is done. And if I look at the top, I know the APU Bleed should start, because now it says available in green. So we can start the APU Bleed. And that is about it. So I'll disconnect the external power. You can see, guys, all the lights are off, except for these two, but that's because the engines are off. You can turn these up if you want to. This is just heating, but it doesn't really do anything in the aircraft. And just for like a little extra details, you guys can also use the fire systems just by holding them. You can see it will pop up on the screen and the red light will appear here. So just to do some checkups if you guys would want to do that. So yeah, everything is all good now. So then after this, I would request IFR clearance and so on, and then after that I'll request for push. So once you request for push, then what you guys would want to do is turn on the beacon light. So the beacon lights is these lights outside, and I'll show you right now. These are the beacon lights, these red flashing lights. They are located on the bottom and the top of the aircraft, and basically this allows ground crew and other people to know that the aircraft is, obviously the engines might be running, and that they just have to be cautious of the aircraft, because you know they could get some serious injuries from the engine, obviously from the thrust all being sucked in, I don't know. But yeah, so these lights are usually like a warning lights to whoever, just to make sure that they know that the aircraft is active in terms of the engines and so on. So other than that, that is the first part of this tutorial. So that's how I usually set up the beginning of the flight, and then from then on I would yeah, so get clearance and so on, and then I'll be good for the push and start. For an extra thing right here, you guys could check the flight plan by going to the plan mode, zooming out, and if you go to the F plan section, you can use the up arrows to scout through your route to check. Even like, so just in case you guys don't have the map, then you guys can check in the aircraft yourself. And yeah, so hopefully you guys did enjoy that video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take care.